we've lined up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with a few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us.
They're driving theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
Yo, what's up? Hey guys, what's going on? It is Monday night. It's 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. You are tuned into the Drive-In Speaker Box, your source for movie stuff every week right here. I'm your host, Bo, the boom operator.
I'm Slick Doggy the Grip.
And yeah, it's another week. We're here with you. We're here to talk about movies, as Vince over there in Twitch already noticed. As we were coming in here, you got a little clip of the MST3K theme song there accidentally, because I've got a lot of tools, and I got a lot of lenses and lights and screens and keyboards, and I've got like 2 keyboards and 2 mice over here. And anyway, I was snooping. Apparently MST3K has a Twitch channel now, and that kind of makes me mad because we can't stream movies and talk about them because we're not MST3K. Although I have been told that Drive-In Speaker Box has live, when we have done live Drive-In Speaker Box back in the day with the gaffer and we've been told we were better than MST3K, and we didn't spend years writing terrible jokes for one movie. We would just sit down, have a couple of gin and sodas, and just rock it, because that's how we do. So
the Schlock Cinema Nights were a lot more fun than watching Mystery Science Theater.
Agreed, man. But tonight we've got a show for you. We saw some movies we're going to be discussing this evening. We both went and saw Bullet Train in theaters, and then we independently sat at home and watched the new I don't like that they're calling it Disney, even though Disney bought Fox. I think it's still a 20th Century Pictures Prey. So we're going to be talking about those movies here in the next hour. Speaking of shows, though, I have started to watch Sandman on Netflix. I've caught the first 2 episodes, and I am going to save my full review for Sandman until I get to the end of it. But I will say the first 2 episodes, I really enjoyed the casting for Dream. I think they really nailed it. But yeah, I will review more of that as I get into it, because I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna hate it by the end of it, but I'm on board now, and we will see. As far as other TV that I've been catching up on, What We Do in the Shadows, new episode this week.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, I need to watch the last couple of it, because the last one I watched was where they got the DJ. Or the rapper. The
rapper, and he's just like sucking neck juice like it's Grey Goose. Yeah, I will say that this has so far been my least favorite season of What We Do in the Shadows, and
really slow paced.
Yeah, and I'm a little over the whole baby Colin Robinson thing, but the whole show seems to be focusing on like how funny that seems to be for them, but not so much for me. And I don't know. I don't know if it's just like a fun inside joke, or maybe I just am the stupid one in the room that doesn't find it that funny. I don't know. Anyway, let's see what's going on in the news. Oh, this just in: Olivia Newton-John died.
Yeah, it was announced today, this afternoon.
Yeah. Oof.
Big bummer.
That's a big bummer. I mean, I'm not gonna say that I'm like the biggest Olivia Newton-John fan. I mean, I like Getting Physical just as much as the next guy, and I can't stand Grease.
Really?
I freaking hate Grease.
Grease is good, bro.
No, it is not
as good as Grease 2.
No. And, I have a few very polarizing opinions. Well, a few. I have a lot of things that I like and I don't like that doesn't always jive with some people, and Grease is one of them. I don't like Grease. I feel like it's weird. and it's not entertaining, and it's kind of rapey. And
Musicals are generally weird.
Yeah, they are.
Especially if you try and break them down, because they don't make sense.
No, they don't. Let's see. Velvet Santa saying he likes my shirt. Yeah, it's a little loud. It's nice and flowy. It's been really hot this week. It's gross here in Northwest Arkansas where we are. So you get this shirt. And if you're wondering why this person knows what my shirt looks like, you could tune into the live stream every Monday night. So if you're downloading the podcast wherever it is you get your podcast, be sure to check out the Drive-In Speaker Box live every Monday night. That's how we do this thing. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube. You can do it right there. And you can subscribe, you can like, you can love, you can share. You can just entertain yourself. A lot of Twitch viewers tonight. We got Night Owlishly, Velvet Santa, Poochie Vince, all in the chat. What's up, dudes? What else is in the news? You got anything?
Further sad news. The actor that portrayed TC in Magnum PI, Roger Mosley, he also passed away over the weekend at 83. Oh, he was in a car accident. And he succumbed to his injuries from that. So, just more sad things. And Edie McClurg, the lady that you probably know best as the office assistant in Ferris Bueller, or the rental car lady.
He's a real cool dude.
Yeah, the lady in Planes, Trains, Automobiles, where, Steve Martin says that he threw his ticket away, and she's just like, sucks to suck. She is in the news, like she has someone that's living at her house and trying to take advantage of her, and people are trying to fight to protect her because she has Alzheimer's or like dementia. Yeah, she has dementia. Yeah, it's like super sad stuff about a lot of these famous people. And then also, Sylvester Stallone is continuing to be upset about the direction that Rocky and its spin-offs is being taken against his will, having no consultation with himself for things like the movie Drago, that's going to be yet another spin-off, because he was not consulted at all before any of that process of that and its announcement. So as the person that invented Rocky, Stallone is not happy about that whatsoever. Lady Gaga is officially in Joker 2. It had been announced.
Posters and teaser stuff has been leaked.
Yeah, it had been announced, but it was made like completely official. So she's portraying some role in Joker 2. Best I can garnish is that it's probably going to be some sort of 70s Harley Quinn or whatever.
Speaking of Batman, though, I know we haven't really talked about this much on the show, but it's been making waves in the internet real hard. The Batgirl film getting canceled. And, this was set to be released on HBO Max. They kind of said, maybe not a theater, but definitely HBO Max. And then test screenings came out, and there were people saying, quote, it was irredeemably bad, and all of these things. So now, Warner Brothers and HBO are like, you know what? We're not going to show it at all. And everybody's like, well, why? Why would you do this? Why would you not show a movie if you've already got it made? And then, of course, there was the whole part of the internet was like, they're racist. And you're like, no, they're money people, and it's a tax write-off if they don't release it anywhere.
Right. So Warner Brothers Discovery actually canceled a whole bunch of stuff. There's a lot of HBO shows and the children's shows. They got rid of Batgirl and Scoob 2.
What? No, Scoob!
But Scoob cost them $40 million. Batgirl cost them $90 million. Scoob was like at its completion. They were done with the movie, and then they still scrapped it. And it was in the news because not only was it part of this purge of incomplete projects that they just scrapped, but also they had already paid for the orchestra for Scoob, so it will still have a soundtrack and score to the film, but there will be no movie.
No film.
Yeah,
and
so
they could probably sell that and make money, but they can't release the film
or use it on another series or movie.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, and it goes back, if something that we talk about here on the show a lot is, I think audiences and your average Twitter person gives Hollywood executives and studios way more credit than it's due on how nefarious and evil and like racist or stupid or sexist or whatever they all are, because they're not. They're just like walking, talking, like beep boop cash registers. That's it. They will do anything for $1, you know. And when you look at like blame our terrible tax system, that is you know, like when you see a restaurant like throwing away all this perfectly good food, or a retail store throwing all this perfectly good merchandise in a dumpster and like destroying it instead of like donating it, they get better tax write-offs if they destroy it. And so blame the government. It's the government's fault, you know. I mean, honestly, the Hollywood, if they could go, well, you know, we'll just donate it to a charity, Netflix or something, and then they would if they get more tax write-offs for it. They're going to do whatever they can to save that amount of money. And you know, if it means not showing it to anybody, then they're not going to show it to anybody. But now people are starting to come back and say, well, we're just going to wait until it's ready. We're just going to make sure that, you know, and chances are they're probably going to get their insurance money, wait a little while, and then maybe do enough changes to where it is a new project, and then it'll probably get released. Or they're going to just do like they do with everything now and go, you know what, dude, we're taking it off the market. Choco Taco is done, dude. You're never going to have another one ever again. Everybody's like, not my Choco Taco. Golly, let's all go in unison and save the Choco Taco. Not, I don't know, vote for equal rights or donate to life-saving medical charities, or, you know, maybe do activism in our community and build habitats for humanity. But we got to save this Choco Taco, dog, because that's important to me.
Have you ever had a Choco Taco?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's a
really
stale-ass waffle shell.
They're good.
And they're like, no, man, I will stand up for what I believe in as a warm-blooded American, and you are not going to take your Choco Taco away from me, Mr. Man.
That's right.
And then the internet's all abuzz about their Doritos Loco, their Mexican pizza, or their Choco Taco, or whatever the fuck. And then they go, well, now that we just tricked you into actually I get into producer voice. Now that we just tricked you into wanting Choco Tacos again, we never intended to pull them off the market at all. And then everybody just bought a shitload of Choco Tacos because they tricked you into it. When's the last time you even was like, dude, I need a Choco Taco now? And then they're like, no, it's gonna take it away. It's like they have learned how to monetize.
Been hard to find.
No, they're not. They're always in that stupid freezer at the gas station that opens from the top, and you got to reach in like an asshole, and or they're at the Taco Bell drive-thru. Choco Tacos have always been
have
around.
them at Taco Bell, but they have them at like Taco Tico.
What's a Taco Tico?
We don't have one.
We don't have one of those.
Yeah, closest one's like Fort Smith.
And you know, as Tyler says, Choco Taco is an unfortunate name. Maybe it's just like a hippie. You know, because they were Choco. Never mind. I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole. But and yes, as Vince said, always stale. And it's just, you know, it's marketing, you guys. And, you know, they have learned to monetize the idea of you won't appreciate something till it's gone. And so they keep tricking us with it's going to be gone.
So are you saying that they're like, Batgirl's canceled? and just to see if people are like, no, don't do that. But most people are like, yeah. Fair.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's happening.
It's like when I saw that, I was like, oh, sad for Brendan Fraser not getting another role back in the spotlight. But at the rest of it, I'm like, I really don't care.
So I think, you know, if there's enough like fans outpouring, they'll probably, if they think they're going to make their money back, which is weird, because I mean, if it's on a streaming service, I'm still very iffy on how the monetization model works on these streaming services versus, you know, the traditional box office method. But, you know, they don't release those numbers, so it's really hard to analyze that kind of stuff. And I think that that's a big problem. You know, that's another thing that, you know, I don't want to go off on a huge history lesson and diatribe about Hollywood antitrust laws, but if you go back into the late 30s and early 40s about, you know, and we've touched on this before in the Drive-In Speaker Box if you're a regular listener, about how the government stepped in to kind of protect us, the viewer, from these studios from monopolizing the way that we can view the content that these studios make, and they disallow or made it illegal for studios to have their own theaters to show their own stuff. But just like in the days of digital media and MP3s and all this kind of stuff that changed the world, there aren't laws against them going, well, what about a streaming theater? And our laws are all from people that were still alive in the 1930s and 40s, because it's a bunch of crusty old gray white dudes. But crusty. Yeah. But they haven't caught up, and I think that it's going to be a weird time when it does. Tyler says he's going to go watch Prey. Well, I pray for your enjoyment, because we're going to be reviewing it a little bit later, and I'll give you the quick sentence. I mean, would you back that one up?
Yeah, probably.
So you'll hear the longer version of if you stick around later in the show. Other news stuff. Did you hear they're planning a live-action Pac-Man film? Because the beloved 1980s cartoon and the other stupid CGI remake was just so beloved by fans. And I guess Namco needs to have their own Sonic movie now. I don't know. But one of the associate producers of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie is now, I guess, going to do a Pac-Man live action. But, there was a Space Invaders live action planned, and it never saw the light of day.
Smart.
Who knows if this will be a real thing, but they're talking about it. I
don't really see. Yeah.
And
I don't know.
Speaking of video game characters in movies, studios are still wanting to make another Tomb Raider movie.
Good.
Why though?
The last one wasn't bad, and so many people were like, "Oh, I don't like
it." It had
but
Walter Goggins in it playing the bad guy.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it had Alicia Vikander as Laura Croft.
As Laura Croft.
Yeah, I liked it, but I like the new Tomb Raider games. I like the Square Enix games. They're a lot of fun.
You're a Square Enix.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't quite as good as the games, but it wasn't bad. So I'm okay with more Tomb Raider movies. Tomb Raider lends itself to being a movie very well, so I don't see why that's a problem. They could make it good. They could make it better. They did make it better. The Alicia Vikander one was way better than the previous ones.
I agree. It was a better movie. Not that I'm saying that I love the Tomb Raider movie, but I will say if I'm comparing the apples to apples, I say that the newer one was a better movie. These moths.
Yeah. Velvet Santa wants to talk about how Little Debbie's aren't 25 cents anymore. You don't want to get the two of us started on talking about
snack foods, because then we're not going to be talking about movies, which is why we came here.
Something else that's wild. Talking streaming services and stuff like that. You see that NBC is moving Days of Our Lives off of cable for the first time since 1965, and it's going to be exclusive to Peacock. So
those sons of bitches, they did it.
It's been going since 65, and as of September 12th, you will not be able to find it anywhere except for Peacock.
See, they're going to get the elderly of America on streaming come hell or high water. Mm-hmm. They're just like all these grandmas and pawpaws that are sitting out there still on cable, watching their stories in the morning. They're like, well, how do we get their extra $8.99 a month? We got to get them. We got to get their pensions. We got to get their 401ks, their Social Securities. We got to get it. Peacock, us. And and then you're gonna get a phone call from Mammy, and she's gonna be like, "Will my sweet grandson come over and help me with my Roku? I think that's what it is."
Like James on Facebook said, the stories. Yeah, it's like, will you show me how to stream my stories?
I need the stories on my Flame Stick. I went to Amazon and got my fire thing, and I just. Come set it up for me.
Yeah, or like Vince points out, and a lot of people, this can be up-and-comers showing up on their streaming devices.
Welcome to the NWO, the New World Order. Anyway, did you have anything else? It was kind of a light week in news.
Yeah, just a bunch of bullcrap about how the Lord of the Rings series continues to spiral into people, their built-in audience just saying no thanks. Because turns out they snubbed Peter Jackson. They're like,
told you so.
Hey, Peter Jackson not invited to anything Lord of the Rings. And it's been announced by all the actors and stuff on the show that they're like, oh, we couldn't get the full rights to Tolkien's stuff because his family really hated the idea of what we were doing. So we just purposely made it as far away from the vision of Tolkien as possible and said, what if we wiped our buttholes with the source material instead? And now you have an Amazon show. So for those of us that really like Lord of the Rings, almost guaranteed to dislike everything about this show that's coming up. And
Told you so. I want to go back. I want to go back years under the episodes of the Drive-In Speaker Box and find clips of me talking about how this is going to end in disaster. And yeah,
there was something else like that that I was gonna say. I don't remember.
So, well, while you're trying to think about this headline just popped up that I remember reading, and I wanted to talk about, because if you go to AMC theaters, I don't know why they have chosen to do this, but at the front of every AMC movie, you have the evil lizard woman from Planet X called Nicole Kidman. And she comes up and she goes, heartbreak feels good in a place like this. And like she's ever sat in a movie and AMC in her life. And, you know, they renewed her contract with her for another year as she's going to continue to be the spokesperson.
It's so creepy at the beginning of movies.
I hate it. I hate it so bad. Like,
plastic.
I want to just, like, leave that for that moment. Like, show it before the trailers so I can skip it. But it's like all just this last, like, ugh. But yeah, maybe they'll have another spot that they'll film with her, but it's the we make movies better scene.
They could
like
replace it. That would be good. You know,
ugh.
James is trying to start some stuff with us over here. You see that? He's like, why don't they remake things that need improvement, like Last Starfighter? Last Starfighter is perfect.
It's a perfect movie.
There's nothing wrong with The Last Starfighter.
And I'll tell you why you can't remake The Last Starfighter unless you set it in the time period that The Last Starfighter was created, which would have been in the 80s, back when an arcade stand-up. Yeah,
there's no high scores in games anymore.
Exactly. There's no high scores in games. Everything's online multiplayer. Everybody's connected. There's no sense of challenge. You know, there's no pushing yourself to be better. There's no trailer park heroes or a thing of the past. Like
Alex would be a Twitch streamer who's like playing games and just like gets beamed up or whatever.
Yeah, and an alien's like, you've got 10 million subs on Twitch, so fight the galaxy for us, dude. And it would be it would be really stupid. It would not translate over. I think The Last Starfighter exists in a bubble. That it was a product of its time, and it kind of needs to exist in that time, unless they just remade it as a kid in the 80s that was just do the same thing. But then why would you need to do that? Why would you even need to do that?
Centauri's rad. Alex is the cool dude. Everything about Last Starfighter rules.
Yeah. And even today, going back, it's a snapshot of that time that still stands on its own two legs, with exception of a couple of the CGIs. If they just took, okay, hear me out. If they took Last Starfighter as it is right now, and then just updated the CGI of the,
Death Blossom,
like the actual, where he's in space in the ship, like just go over and do those scenes where it doesn't even need a human being. Just touch those up just a little bit. You've got a perfect film. Absolutely perfect film.
I have Last Starfighter music just blasting in my head. Bum, bum, ba, 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 ba.
How's it go again?
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to sing on the show. You know how it goes.
I do know how it goes. It's one of my favorite themes ever.
It's really good.
I think, is that Howard? That's not Howard Shore. It's really good, though. It's a great score. What else? James says the Star Wars Special Edition treatment. Yeah, well, that's a triggering reference, but yes, you could say. Let's see. What else do we have? Oh, I heard that was one of the first movies, if not the first, to use CGI. Yeah, I mean, it felt very much like the, Money for Nothing and Chicks for Free video, on MTV. I want my Alpha Alpha Centauri, you know, and and he like rolls up in that rad car and then like wipes his eyes out and he's like an alien. That was terrifying. And then Alex or whatever is like, what the fuck? And then they shoots him up to the moon. And the dude with like the hair cone, like it's like, welcome to us getting our ass kicked and you got to fix it. And yeah, dude, that movie's so good. That movie's so good.
So you knew this would happen.
Stop mentioning movies I love that you know I'm just going to death blossom on. Craig Safan, yes, that is right. That is the guy who did the score to Last Starfighter. Back when the show used to be very centered around film scores, which it can't be anymore because we're not on radio and we can't play it online, or else Vares Saraband and Sony will come after us.
We need to get like a MIDI keyboard and just get really good at music. What if we did that? What if we got really good at being MIDI keyboardist and we could sit here and we could like recreate? Let's become pianists.
Next week on the Drive-In Speaker Box, we learn how to play piano.
Yeah, is it too late for us to become pianists on like little MIDI keyboards and just like bust out Last Starfighter theme?
I mean, like, this says it's MIDI, but this sounds really good for MIDI. Okay, that sounds too good. I can't play more than that because then it's gonna be like you're in trouble. We could do. Here's a piano tutorial. We could just listen to this one. This is the boring part. Skip to the overtime. Yeah, there it is.
See, you can do the part that I was not gonna do earlier.
Gonna save my trailer park from destruction. Yeah, dude, that soundtrack's freaking awesome. What are we even doing on the show? What is this?
I don't know.
Velvet Santa sounds like RoboCop. No. It's so much better than RoboCop. Okay, let's see. That's about good with news. Let's move on. Let's tell you what's coming out in theaters this week because it's nothing. There's only a couple of movies coming out. They're all relatively small release. Whether or not they'll be in a theater near you, who knows? But we do have a handful. There is Mac and Rita. It is a comedy from director Katie Aselton. It's got Diane Keaton in it, and I think also Simon Rex is in this movie as well. But Taylor Page, Elizabeth Lail. It's about a 30-year-old writer, played by Elizabeth Lail, spending a wild weekend in Palm Springs, wakes up to find that she's magically transformed into her 70-year-old self, played by Diane Keaton. So a little Freaky Friday action, and I'm sure just like lots of, oh man, my boobs are saggy, or oh man, I've got old people trouble, even though I'm supposed to be 30. And then Simon Rex shows up being Simon Rex. Yeah. What else coming out? We've got Emily the Criminal coming out. This is a kind of a thriller, a crime drama thriller directed by John Patton Ford, starring Aubrey Plaza, oddly enough, and Theo Rossi. You may know him from some of the early MCU Netflix shows, but it's about Aubrey Plaza. She's down on her luck and saddled with debt. Emily gets involved in a credit card scam that pulls her into the criminal underworld of Los Angeles, ultimately leading to deadly consequences. So, yeah, it's riveting, electrifying, thrilling. There's olive branches on it from Sundance. So, a little indie film here. Getting a little bit of hype. You know, Aubrey Plaza, not normally known for her dramatic roles, but I'm here for it. I like Aubrey Plaza. Be my girlfriend. Call me. Email drivingspeakerbox@gmail.com. Aubrey, if you're looking for love in all the wrong places, I'm your man.
Looking for love in all the wrong places.
Exactly. I like Aubrey Plaza. Let's see. And the one that's probably going to get wide release for reasons inexplicable for me is Fall. Yeah, directed by Scott Mann. This movie is about two best friends, Becky and Hunter, finding themselves on the top of a 2,000-foot radio tower, and I guess they fall down. And the trailer for this looks absolutely terrible. The premise to this looks absolutely terrible. Pretty much everything about this looks absolutely terrible. And why is this coming to...
Just dumping on this movie so hard.
Well, the trailer was just like this really bad CGI pan up of a 2,000-foot like tower needle, and then they're like, well, now we're up here, and then our carabineers bending, and then now we're gonna have to watch a whole movie about this. And I mean, I think there's like found footage elements into this movie, and it's just kind of like, we're two girls getting in above our head, and it's like, let's watch The Descent. Like, if you want to watch a movie that's like this, that's going to terrify you, and it's going to be like, girl trip, and then it goes haywire, and nothing happens that you want to happen, and it's scary, watch The Descent. Like, that is a really, really good movie.
Or Vince said Open Water. I mean, yeah, it'd be great if this movie's like Open Water, where at the end it's like, and then they fall, and it cuts before they hit the ground, and you're just like,
it's just like
what happens?
A
though,
nightmare
it's like,
that we've all had.
They die clearly. Like Open Water, you're not gonna live. That's the end of it. Yeah.
Well, and I think movies like this kind of got started by Danny Boyle. You go back and look at 2010's 127 Hours, which I don't know if it's okay to like James Franco anymore. I don't know. Has he been canceled? Was he one of the guys?
He was just in the news because that was one thing. He's been cast as Fidel Castro in a movie, and John Leguizamo was like really pissed about it.
I don't know.
So there's that.
I don't know. But anyway, 127 Hours is actually really, really good. And it's one of these, like, going on a trip, things get out of control, but it's a one-man show. It's a very isolated movie, and it works. But, I don't think two people on top of a radio needle, and it's called Fall. Like, I don't want to see this. I don't. And I really just don't want to see this movie. And I went and saw Minions, and I don't want to see this movie.
Well, you know what? It is coming out this week that might be pretty okay. Lal Singh Chada.
Are we going to get that here?
I think so. It's the Forrest Gump shot-for-shot remake from India. So
if we get this here, I'm going to go see this.
We can go together.
I will go see this with you.
Sick.
I don't know. Wait. Is it gonna? It's 3 hours long, isn't it?
Likely.
Yes, it's got to be 3. How would they make a shot-by-shot remake of Forrest? Only in India. Only Bollywood. Only is this Telugu? Where is this produced from? Where do we know?
You got me on that. I don't know. I imagine it's
only. We'll just say Bollywood for sake of length of film. But only Bollywood would take a movie that has like a 2-hour runtime and make it a 3-hour movie. And do somehow a shot-by-shot remake of it.
Yeah, probably has a couple of dance numbers in it.
I'm sure it has more than a couple dance numbers in it. But yeah, if this is playing here, I will agree to watch this. I will sit for 3 hours to watch
Forrest Gump
again. What would his mama always say in this situation?
I don't know. You got me.
Sure, it's not like a box of chocolates.
It could be.
And I'm sure she's not like humping his school teacher so he can get into better grades. Like, are they going to do all of these things that don't necessarily translate over into that culture?
Who knows?
Who knows? We will find out. So, yeah, that movie is also coming out in theaters
on the 11th.
On the 11th here in limited release here in the U.S. So, there you have that. Velvet Santa says he will actually put on pants and leave his house to go see it if it's playing near him. So we will see. Okay, well, now that we got what's new out of the way, let's talk about what's in theaters. And let's start with Prey, because I think Prey is the movie that we liked the least of the two that we saw this week.
Technically not in theaters.
And also technically not in theaters. So, Jake, I'm going to let you take it away.
Oh, man. Okay. All right. So, Prey, the new Predator movie, and I'm a big Predator fan here. It is taking place in 1719. It follows a Native American girl and some other members of her little group of people. Their camp, their little. I mean, I don't know what the right word for it is. And of course, the predators come and they visit North America, and a predator is left behind, a yautja, to go on the hunt.
What's a yautja?
That's the proper name for the predator.
I'm
people.
just filling in for the people at home.
Except for this one.
I don't know what his deal is. He's just like, I'm wearing bone helmets and I'm a proto predator, even though somehow in my species that dropped me off in a very super
I read a thing
spaceship.
I read a thing about it, and the director said he wanted to make sure that this one seemed more dangerous and monster-like, so he named it the feral predator, which is dumb because they already did that in Predators, where they decided that there needed to be a bigger, badder yautja, and then in The Predator, they decided that there needed to be predator dogs, where these like dogs also had the tentacle dreads and the yautja faces or whatever.
And he had a different, just overall body structure.
Yes. Jaws and things
And
were all
his
different.
forehead was a little,
it
not
looks real dumb.
Maybe he comes from a different region of Predatoria or wherever they come from.
Anyhow, so of course it follows the girl, and she doesn't want to be like the other women in the camp. She wants to be like her brother and the other boys, and she wants to.
And they come into the camp and they're like, "Got you pushing too many medicines, eh, girl?"
Yeah.
And
so
you little bitch, got you pushing too many medicine.
She is always striving to prove herself, and she's always reaching beyond her limitations and failing successfully. And she finds herself in use of a hatchet, a stone hatchet that she's
gave her.
Just dead set on that being her weapon, the most durable stone ever to be flint struck ever. And then eventually she gets herself some ninja skills because she ties a rope to it. Now all of a sudden she
has auto comeback to her hand every time.
Yeah, so all of a sudden she's a master of kusarigama with a friggin' stone hatchet.
And I don't know if you've ever because I mean, I'm a warm-blooded dude, and you get a ratchet strap after tightening something down that ain't going nowhere, and then you take the ratchet strap off and you're kind of slinging it around, and you throw it and then you try to whip it back, and you can't catch that shit. Not without practice.
In
she masters
35 seconds
in an afternoon, and she's just like, and she is like Ip Man over here.
Yeah. So. Of course they have to, their paths have to collide somehow. This girl who wants to be seen as the ultimate hunter in her little camp, and this yautja that's on its hunting path for some reason, inexplicable reason, and it just kills anything that also kills. It's like a snake, totally not worthy of the ire of a yautja, dead, skint, done. A wolf that's just trying to eat to live.
Yeah, it looks at him cross-eyed.
Murked out.
Shoink!
Yeah, just if it even begins to be a predator, he watches a tick on a blade of grass crawl onto something and bite it. No, that tick is done for. The predator is just, nothing's off limits. If it moves and breathes nearby, you're dead. Until somehow in the end of the movie, if you just happen to I don't know, be this girl. Right.
And you're like, well, if I just stand here and it knows I'm here, but I'm not a threat, then I guess it's not going to bother me.
So, of course, they go on hunting paths, and both of their paths of hunting cross, and she ends up embroiled in the battle of the predator versus all of the humans in the area, including the French trappers and who
spoke French.
Yeah, and the native tribesmen and all these things.
Who spoke surfer Californian.
And she finds her way to conquer the insurmountable odds and defeat this yautja with her ingenuity and knowledge of medicine.
I mean,
it's the most unbelievable thing since everyone was like, and Topher Grace is the most dangerous dude on the planet.
I mean, yes, like that was somehow more believable, and I get it. Everybody's like, "Yo, this was so badass." I was like, maybe you're just so thirsty to see a Predator movie. Like, I honestly, okay, I think that the premise of this movie could have been really, really cool. Like, I like the idea of it going back into the 1700s and hitting a Comanche tribe, right? I wish that maybe the tribe would have had more of the.
Were they Comanche?
Yeah, they said it right at the beginning. They're like, "You're Comanches." And then it says saying Comanche words where they're like, "Yo, dude, let's go hunting bears. Don't forget to bring your moto." And you know,
But
they
it also
come
said it
in
was
and out of
the northern Great Plains, and there was a grizzly bear.
yeah.
That
I know.
My American history lessons would say that that's not correct.
Well, I think they probably picked Comanches because as every terribly educated young white child in America was taught that that they were the scary warrior ones, and you know, not paying any attention to historical accuracy of Native American culture. But
Velvet Santa says, "I'm sure it was better than the AVPR." That's where you're wrong.
yeah, because there's more lore there. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, really cool Predator lore." There's zero Predator lore in this movie.
Yeah, this one, the only thing you get is a couple of callbacks that are out of place, and then
The gun from Predator 2, which
you
shows
get,
up
I was
inconsistently.
going to say, and then you get something undone about one of the liked movies. So out of all the Predator movies, there's two of them that are good. The first one, the second one, duh. And they decide to undo some of what the second one had put down, just because they wanted to show something.
Shows a callback.
Yeah.
You know. But so going back to what I was saying, I think that this movie could have been good. You know, I like the premise, I like the idea of it, but I wish that they had kind of maybe made it more isolating and tonal to a Predator film. If you go back and watch the first and second movies, they're kind of quiet movies, you know, because it's more they're hunting movies, and you're not sitting there jibber jabbering the whole time while you're hunting. You know, it's a lot of stalking, it's a lot of silence, it's a lot of thinking, it's a lot of planning, you know, and then people slowly and more meticulously get picked off as the movies take place. But this movie, it's just like kind of like boring, then all heavy action. Everybody just dies like in a big whirlwind except for the one person that survives. And I wish that maybe they had explored like trying to fight this thing a little bit more than just like, well, you know what? Now that I've decided I'm going to kill it, it's dead. And not like trying to best it with the tools that you have and the ingenuity that you have. She just became a mega warrior magically by the end of this movie.
That's true. The only people that ever stood up to it or stood a chance is like this girl and her brother for some inexplicable reasons, and you know, basically by the end of the movie, she's watched it kill 100 people and lift a grizzly bear and just bathe in its blood. Yeah, just like all of these things, you know, effortless, and it jumps like 300 feet from tree to tree, and she's like, I think I'm gonna throw a hatchet at it.
I've got this.
I'm gonna throw a hatchet at this thing, and then let it fall into some mud, maybe. And then it turns out her plan works, despite its shield that can cut through solid rock, and despite the
all of its alien
advanced
tools,
weapons, and yeah.
It's like, oh, mud, crap. We just landed on a planet, you know, predominantly covered by water. We probably would have had a contingency plan for wet soil, but I guess not. I guess our alien technology didn't prepare us for quicksand, because like every 5-year-old was afraid of when they were a kid, it's quicksand. And it turns out that a 5-year-old, I guess, wrote this screenplay because, you know,
it's a pretty boring movie overall, really. I honestly fell asleep during it like 5 times.
And I know people are going to get mad at us for this because I've heard a lot of people say it was so cool, but
No, I woke up at the end of the movie and I saw the final fight scene and I was like, what did I miss? And then I rewound it and watched it and I'm like, oh, I missed nothing. I really missed nothing. You can watch like the first 5 minutes of the movie to find out who the girl is, whose character name I don't even remember. Naru, is that?
Something like that.
Something like that. And then you can watch the last 10 minutes and you have the whole movie. The only thing you're missing in between is that the Predator does some minor killing here and there, and despite it being invisible and a silent hunter, and it can lurk in the treetops and jump 200 feet at a time and everything like that, it allows itself to have its presence known and get beat up at every opportunity, and it just gets shot a whole bunch and stabbed, and it's like, yeah.
And he totally wasted like his blow up bracelet for no reason, just because I guess everybody was like, well, predators always have to do the blow up bracelet, and it just felt like they were just checking lists. There was so many check boxes, both thematically and socially, and it just didn't feel good.
Yeah.
And
Velvet Santa said they should have tried Milk of a Mother's Love. You know what? The little goblin creature, the ugly booger lips of Ernest Scared Stupid, is a better monster effect than whatever this Yautja's supposed to be in this, because it doesn't look like a predator. The only thing that
it looks more like a monster.
The only thing that tells you it's a predator is that it has like the
mandibles and the dreads.
The four prongs and some of the dread stuff. But it has like a big like fin forehead thing, and its face is pushed out. It doesn't have its eyes weren't in the right spot. It doesn't have the features of a Stan Winston predator. It actually kind of looks more like the original Predator costume, the bright orange.
Oh, the Jean-Claude Van Damme Predator? Oh, boy. Yeah.
Its face looks more like that one. Yeah.
Google Jean-Claude Van Damme Predator. That's a little bit of fun Hollywood history for you.
And when you look at a Stan Winston movie creature, like creature effect, and you go, what if we changed everything about that? You should really rethink that, because you're wrong. Because Stan Winston doesn't mess up.
No,
it just doesn't happen.
Stan Winston's a legend for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it's a Predator movie. It's probably better than the last two Predators that we got.
But that's not saying much.
But at the same time, they took everything that was kind of Predator away from it, other than the skin. Like, it's kind of a monster movie in a Predator skin, I guess. Yeah, it's dumb. I didn't like it.
Well, the one movie we did like, though, surprisingly, because you went in thinking you weren't going to like it.
So did you. You've been complaining about the movie on the show.
I also was skeptical, because the more trailers I saw about it, the trailers were leading me astray. But we saw Bullet Train last night, movie, or not last night, but this weekend. Just over a 2-hour runtime, directed by David Leitch. If you aren't familiar with his work, he did, Hobbs and Shaw, John Wick. He was a producer over there. He did Atomic Blonde, which I was not a big fan of, but he directed Deadpool 2. You like the Fast and Furious thing that he did. So again, I was like, I don't know. But what I did not know about this film is it's actually based off of a Japanese novel of the, not necessarily the same name. That was its American name. Its Japanese title was Maria Beetle, which is reference to the main character, but it was a Japanese dark comic novel published in 2010. And this, this movie, very much, if you watch anime at all, which this guy has never watched anime in his life, so I don't understand why he likes this movie very much. But despite the fact that you're literally wearing an anime t-shirt right now.
I actually found a meme about that. Someone was saying Initial D was weeb stuff, and they're like, no, dude, Initial D's epic.
Well, he's wearing an Initial D shirt right now. We were both wearing like probably two of the nerdiest t-shirts like adult men could wear. But yeah, so this movie very much feels like a live-action anime in not a bad way, because so many live-action animes are just terrible, just abysmal. And this one's not. This movie felt very much like an old school Guy Ritchie movie meets an anime, and I'm totally here for it. Like, there was more character development in this movie, in this 2-hour movie, than a lot of movies that I watched lately. Like, every sub character, every subplot had an arc and a resolution to the arc, which was kind of wild. And from a storytelling perspective, some people are not really enjoying this movie, and maybe it's a lot for people to take in. But this is kind of an impressive story to be told, because there's just a lot of avenues happening.
every person in the movie, they did kind of like the George Lucas Star Wars treatment to it, which is that they existed before the movie. You don't have to have a full backstory. You don't have to have a complete introduction to somebody. You don't have to know what made them be them. You just have to learn that this is who this person is. Here they are, and it works. There's a couple of them where you get glimpses into their past to make you see what made them them, but it's kind of as if they're telling someone about it. They're narrating it a little bit. All of the background stuff is from someone telling a story, and it elaborates on what they're
a tidy vignette.
Yeah,
kind of, and this is what made me think of early Guy Ritchie, like Snatch and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Is like there's one character in this film called the Wolf, and he doesn't have a whole lot of speaking roles, but he plays a pivotal part in this film. But his whole story is encapsulated in a very quick, tightly edited vignette that happens in the middle of the movie, and you're like, okay, here's this character, and you're getting up to speed. And despite not having hardly any dialogue in this vignette, you get more character development. You get an arc out of this character to where his death and his involvement in the rest of the story, it feels so right. I mean, he was in it like for just a second, but you feel like you got to know that character. And I think a lot of movies don't do that. I mean, everybody lauds like Knives Out as being such a great whodunit with all of these characters, but I feel like so many of those characters are just fodder that you don't learn, that they're just paper thin to get to the end whodunit. And this movie, you get kind of like a little bit attached to every single character that you meet in this movie, save like maybe one or two. But for the most part, I was just kind of impressed, because action movies these days have gotten so stupid to where it kind of follows that Russo brother formula. A lot of people are talking about The Gray Man, which I watched, and I'm not going to review it today. It's fun. It's fine. It's whatever. It's very John Wicky, which is, I really like the first John Wick. The subsequent sequels getting a little much, but it's like macho guy meets other macho guys with macho guns, and one of them is morally just for being the winner of all of these showdowns, and they win because of good guys. But this movie is so morally ambiguous the whole time, and good guys are bad guys are good guys, and it's not really about who's in the right and wrong. It's about this weird series of coincidences that makes kind of a dark comedy thriller.
Yeah. Hardy Entertainment pointed out that Leach was actually Brad Pitt's stunt double in Fight Club. How about that? Because he's a stuntman, and that's why he makes stunt-oriented movies, which is very cool. Everyone in this movie it draws you in, and you're not sitting there trying to figure it out. You're just along for the ride on the train, and it makes it where it's a lot of fun. It has really good cameos.
There's some actual tastefully hilarious cameos in this. I don't like a
don't say who it is.
There's two that are pretty good, and the one at the end is not bad either, but they're all pretty fun cameos. And a lot of these leading roles are played by people who are known for action films. I mean, you got Hiroyuki Sanada, who I'd watch just sit there. Like, he has got so much screen presence, and he's, as he's getting older, he's still an action star. And then Andrew Koji, who is kind of an up-and-comer in the United States as an action star. You've got Aaron Taylor Johnson.
He did great, because I didn't even
recognize him.
Well, I didn't even think about him as being him. He was that character. He was Tangerine.
And if you go back to his character, this is the kid.
There it is, Vince.
The kid that was in Kick-Ass. And
the Quicksilver in the Avengers movie.
Yeah, you're like, who's this guy? But what a performance out of him! He totally sells it, and it's just
probably the best character in the whole thing.
Easily.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: is my least favorite character is one of my favorite Michael Shannon.
Oh, don't do it.
He's in the trailer.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's in the trailer.
I hadn't seen him in any of the trailers. Is he in the trailer now that the movie's already released?
He's been in the. He was in the. I knew he was in the movie. I just didn't know what character
I had no
he played.
idea until they were like, "Oh yeah, here he is."
I don't think that the casting for Michael Shannon was correct. I think that they could have gotten somebody else for that. Velvet Santa asks, is its pants worthy?
Yeah, dude. So we both went in not really expecting anything out of it, and us and the friend that we watched it with all had a really good time with it, and it's a fun movie. Actually, it's
a refreshing action movie. It is an action movie. Don't get us wrong. It's a dark action comedy, so there is going to be. There's going to be dark humor, there's going to be violence, there's going to be action, but I think it works in a way in a movie that I haven't seen this style in a long time, because again, I think everything's falling in line with the sort of Russo brothers style of action, or like the Uncharted movie, all this that sort of style of action, instead of this, heavily situational, heavily cameoed, ensemble cast, like series of events sort of stuff that honestly haven't seen really since early Guy Ritchie stuff. And then everybody tried to copy it for a minute, and then Guy Ritchie hasn't made a good movie in a long time. I enjoyed it. I think that it makes me want to go check out the source material and see how different it is. But yeah, I thought it was fun, and it's doing fairly well in the box office. It's hitting its goals, and it's performing about like they thought it would. I mean, this movie had just about a $90 million budget, and no one's disappointed in it so far. So that's good. I don't want a sequel to this at all. I think this movie just needs to exist as it is, and just be a good movie.
Yeah.
Let's see. Furious Apology says, I wasn't going to check it out due to the trailer being but now I might go see it. And agreed. The last trailer that I saw before seeing this movie, I did not like. And I was like, I'm not going to like this movie. But we both walked out of it going, well, that was fun. And having a pretty good time. So there you have it. Bullet Train in theaters right now. You can check it out. We both recommend it based on what it is we enjoy. I like it better than Deadpool 2. I'm not a big fan of the Deadpool movies, but this one was fun. Anyway, all right. Well, we got just a few more minutes left in the show, and it is the time where we tell you the box office roundup. And the reason we give you the box office domestic roundup, domestic meaning here in the United States, is because that is what studios use to measure if they want to do green lights, if they want to cancel things, if they want to never release Batgirl, if they want to do whatever it is they do. Here on the show, we tell you to follow the money, and this is where we give you the top 10 movies in America, starting with number 10, going to number 1. Jake, take it away.
All right, number 10 here in America. You got The Black Phone still hanging in there in the top 10. Brought in $1.5 million this past week, bringing its total to just shy of $86 million. Not bad for a horror movie. Number 9. Hey, thanks, Night Ashley.
Yeah, thanks for this one.
Number 9, still in the top 10 as well. Elvis brought in just shy of $4 million this past week, bringing its domestic total up to $136.5 million.
Goodness.
So, not so bad for it. Opening at number 8, Easter Sunday, brought in just shy of $5.5 million for itself, just in over 3,000 theaters. So, we'll see where that one goes.
I mean, 3,000's a lot for a small movie like this.
Sure.
But opening at number 8.
Yeah, but what was their budget too? Because I haven't
yeah.
seen any advertising for it, so their advertising budget has to be tiny.
I've
sure.
only seen a handful of trailers, and that was a while back, so they didn't really push it.
And it's from Universal, so it'll probably be on Peacock before you know it to make its money back. Coming in at number 7, Where the Crawdads Sing, brought in $5.6 million. Also in the same number of theaters as the one just below it, bringing its total to $64.6 million domestic. I imagine that's not so bad for that movie. Probably just a little over budget already, I would assume.
It's doing just fine for itself.
Yeah, it's done that in 4 weeks for a movie that came out of nowhere with minimal advertising as well. But just above it, number 6, hanging in there, Top Gun Maverick in its 11th week of release, still brought in $7 million.
Continuing to break records.
So it's now at $1.3 billion across the world.
Yeah, it's
Killing
I wrote it down. I don't have it with me, but it's up there in the Titanic gang now. It's like, it's breaking big records and wow.
Good. It's sick. It's a good movie. I liked it. Whatever.
I mean, that's good. It wasn't sick.
Dude, did you watch it?
I did, but I don't know. I just don't have a big hard-on for jet planes, I guess, in America.
It wasn't about the jet planes. It was about Maverick, man. It was cool.
Okay.
Coming in at the halfway spot, number 5, Minions: Rise of Gru, in its 6th week, also still in there, 7.1 million, bringing its domestic total to just at half of Top Gun's, 334 million in its 6 weeks. So, lots of dollars for Minions continuing to roll in. Think of the merchandise; they are just.
It's going to make as much money in merch as it is.
Yeah, so any money that Universal's losing on Easter Sunday, they're more than making up for on Minions. Coming in at number 4, dropping from its number 3 spot in its 5th week. It's already been 5 weeks.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Thor: Love and Thunder, bringing in 7.7 million for its domestic total of 316. Minions is whooping Thor.
I know. And I'm kind of okay about that, even though I didn't really like Minions. I think I like Thor better as a movie than Minions, but I'm kind of okay with Minions whipping Thor's ass because somebody needs to put Disney in check. Mm-hmm. And I'm okay with it being Universal.
Sure.
I like Universal's. I like their theme park better. So.
Well, how about that?
How about that?
Coming in at number 3, dropping from its number 2 spot, bringing $8.5 million in its 3rd week is Nope, which you reviewed on the show.
That was last week's, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah, because you were gone the week before.
Yeah, because I was gone the week before, yeah.
Because you were in Nolan's, so we didn't get to talk about Nope. Yeah, not doing bad, bringing in $100 million.
Oh, making all the money.
In 3 weeks.
Jordan Peele, he's going to be able to do whatever he wants to from now on.
Number 2, dropping from its number 1 spot last week, is DC League of Super Pets, which I had originally planned on watching, but you invited me to Bullet Train, and I thought that sounded like a better idea. It has brought in its 2 weeks, its 2nd week, $11 million, and its total is just at $45 million. Probably not what Warner Brothers was expecting from a kid-oriented comic book movie with the voices of
about animals doing people things.
So yeah, the formula of kids, comics, and CGI animals, maybe one too many things going on there, but
it's still got a few more weeks. Like this weekend is going to be a
goes.
very light weekend. There's no big blockbusters coming in, so you'll probably see some. It did drop 52% this week, but I think maybe it won't be as heavy of a drop next week.
As more people have watched Minions, they're going to need something else to take their kids to. But school's starting back soon too,
Mm-hmm.
so
we got one or two more weekends, and then these kids' movies are going to be getting thin.
Yeah. And then opening at the top spot in its first week, $30 million being brought in by Bullet Train.
Yep, and it also released at the same time in the international market, bringing another $32 million. So, so not a bad worldwide opening in its first weekend. So, it had a budget of 90. It's well on its way to doing its thing. Vince asks, where did this summer go? Good question. I have no idea because it is August 8th right now, and that's freaking me out because we are almost into fall, which means we're almost into spooky season, which means we're going to start talking about horror movies here on the show, which means it's time for Nightmare on Block Street, which starts September 30th. So that is like, we are less than 2 months away, and it's the drive-in. Is this the last weekend of the drive-in?
It's ending soon. Yeah,
it's either this weekend or next weekend. Yeah, our drive-in's going to be gone. Yeah. Like, everything's changing. Oh, man, I just don't even know how I feel about it, but it's going to be an interesting transition. This fall is going to be an interesting fall. So, but anyway, we thank you for tuning in. This has been a fun show. We appreciate everybody that has resubbed on Twitch and liking and subscribing everywhere else. We do this every Monday night live at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time over on our Facebook, our Twitch, and our YouTube right here. You can get in on all the fun over here in the chat. And if you don't want to do all that and you're just like, I'm just on a commute and I want to hear you guys yell about stuff, then you can download us anytime, anywhere you get your podcasts, be it Spotify, Apple Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, like all those things we're on board. Trying to get us in on the Pandora train too, but they're a little more stingy with who they hand their podcasts out to. And also later in
Truth Social.
Huh?
I don't know. Vince said follow me on Truth Social. I don't know what Truth Social is.
But also, we're going to be probably, well, I don't know if Jake's going to be with it. Maybe. But in late September, we're going to be speaking at a podcast conference in Little Rock. You can come check us out there. For some reason, someone invited us because they thought we were cool enough, which is weird, but I'll take it. And we'll be hitting the road and doing that fun stuff. So anyway, Trump's social media platform is called Truth Social. Oh God.
No, but you know where I am a little bit trying to be on our Discord.
Yeah. On our Discord, pretty sure Vince or somebody will throw that link up in there because I don't have it at the ready again because I'm sloppy. But yeah, you can check us out on our Discord channel. You can send us messages. You can join that conversation when we're not here live talking to you. So Velvet Santa says he'll be there at that podcast convention, rocking the drive-in speaker box, boom box.
There it is.
Heck yeah. Discord link up in the chat. Discord is a chat platform, so it's like a chat room message board. You can
if you
communicate,
want to talk to us or pick our brains or throw some ideas out there that you would like to see. It's there where you can do it anytime, not just live on Monday.
And with each other too. You can
That's true.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, we're gonna get out of here. As always, I am the boom operator,
And I'm the grip.
and we will see you guys next week. Bye bye now. Bye bye.
As you leave the theater, folks, please be careful. Don't let this happen to your car. Be sure to remove the speaker before you leave. If you should accidentally pull a speaker loose, please turn it in at our snack bar or box office. Thank you.